All right, so I'm going to recap my experience buying an RTX 3070. Spoiler, I didn't actually buy an RTX 3070 because they were all out of stock within the first minute of them going live. So I was on Newegg, and I was actually on the desktop as well as the phone, right, up super early as shit, just so that I could get a chance to buy one of these cards. Just a chance to buy one of them. I knew it would be really difficult because the 3080 launch was really difficult to deal with, and the 3070 is a cheaper, more affordable, yet still very powerful card. I tried my best. I really did. I tried to do everything I could to buy a card legitimately as myself, and I'm sure that's the story for a lot of you as well. In fact, I'm polling you currently as of time of filming on Twitter, and yeah, here are the results. So far, it seems like around 10% of you who tried to buy one actually bought one, and it also seems as though international buyers, with respect to the US, so maybe Germany, UK, and even Australia, actually, someone in Australia said that there were several cards still listed as available for sale. Granted, some of them were marked up just a bit. I wouldn't call these scalper prices, but they are, yeah, they're asking for a bit of a premium here. That's interesting. Maybe there was just more allocation for other countries this time around, or maybe there's just less interest in those countries. I'm not sure what that is about, but things were super consistent with respect to the 3080 launch. I think that a lot of us expected this going into it, but weren't sure as to how the lower price point was going to play into this. We expected demand to be a bit higher, but we also know that yields for lower end cards are generally higher as well, right? You don't need as perfect a GPU yield for something like a 3070 than you would a 3080 or a 3090. Those cards are more powerful. They have much stricter standards. They have to pass very strict QC standards in order to become 3080s and 3090s. And a lot of times these processes are totally different anyway. So yeah, we're going to talk about what we experienced this morning, if you're watching this on October 29th, and what to expect moving forward. By this point, you've probably seen our original ad for Thermal Grizzly's Carbonite pads. They're clean, peace-of-mind replacements for traditional thermal paste, and best of all, you'll never have to replace them. But did you also know that you can buy Carbonite pads in different sizes for various processors? They even make a giant 51x68mm pad for Threadripper. I highly recommend Carbonite pads, and you can learn more by clicking the link below. So here's how it worked for me. You guys tell me in the comments if this is exactly what you experienced or not. About 8:59 a.m., I was locked and loaded. I had a Chrome tab up, I had my phone up, and I was on Newegg. For some reason, Amazon's been super sketchy, at least Amazon US, with regards to current graphics card listings. I've talked to Newegg. Newegg tells me that these are not bots for the most part, which I'm not sure what to think of that, because what is your definition of a bot? Is it just like a script that's just like gonna scrape listings as they come, or is it maybe some automated purchasing process? You know, maybe you have it set up to where once something goes in stock, it will go through and click things for you and then buy one card. I mean, that's still scripting, but you know what I mean. Is it like a mass issue, or is it just like an individual who is choosing to script the process so that he or she can buy a single card? And if thousands of people are doing it that way, you can imagine how much more difficult it will be for people like you and me who were just clicking through legitimately, trying to get to that checkout page, trying to get to that purchase page, either link it to Apple Pay or PayPal or whatever, so that you can actually purchase the card. But to be honest, I really don't care. I mean, if this is a bot issue or not, we're already seeing people trying to flip these cards. There are some listings already on eBay for FE 3070s marked up 2 to 3 times. And please do not indulge these scalpers. Do not do it. If you buy one of these cards, you're validating this process for them. They will continue doing it in the future. So if you're interested in paying 2 to 3 times MSRP, I suppose this is fine for you. If money is no object, I suppose it's fine for you. But if you want a 3070 that bad, or 3070 performance, and you're willing to spend $1,200, just buy a frickin' 2080 Ti. That's what they're going for right now. I mean, like, well, don't ruin it for the rest of us. On top of that, you're going to get 11 gigs of VRAM with the RTX 2080 Ti versus only 8 with a 3070. So there is an argument to be made in favor of the 2080 Ti once, especially when that card actually depreciates and once it loses value, when we expect the 30 series cards to be heavily in stock, or at least a bit more in stock than they currently are. Currently, everything is out of stock, and then you get these waves, or you get these companies trying to do these like queue order processes where like you enter a queue on the 29th of October and you don't actually get allocated a card until like November 30th or December 30th. Who knows? I think that's still fine. I think that's a good way to do it, to kind of guarantee that you'll get a card, but you're still waiting a month or two to get the card. It's just, you know, if you're willing to wait 2 months, why not wait a few more months? And then we can see kind of how the market settles, see which cards are actually worth the price, the asking price, and then maybe even dabble in some Turing use cards by that point. eBay's going to have, I'm sure, a flood of Turing cards. We already saw a flood of those before the 30 series launch. Those panic sellers, I'm sure, are kicking themselves in the teeth right now because they can't get 30 series cards. So what are you doing? You're just sitting around with a system that has no discrete card in it. There's a lot of panic around these launches, and at this point, people are kind of just done with Nvidia. They're just done. They're tired of it. What is the point anymore? In fact, that's why I've titled this video What I Have, because I want to talk to you guys, and I did this briefly on Twitter, but I want to talk to you about my approach to this coverage going forward. So yeah, we have like the news bites, kind of like this video is, where we're just kind of summing up what we experienced that day, maybe some relevant news topic, some relevant announcement was announced. That didn't really go out very well. But I want to talk about why we're not rolling out RTX 30 series reviews anymore. We did one with the Gigabyte 3080 Gaming OC. Great card. Big problem though, you can't buy it. So what's the point? I understand that mindset. I know why a lot of people commented that, and I did address it in the video. I was timestamping a few people who were asking why I even bothered. It's because I just figured it would be good to get the video out there early so that it has time to mature by the time people can actually buy these cards en masse. Problem though is that the initial feedback, the initial engagement, that's a big part of a video's performance. And if it's just not there because the demand is, the audience, I should say, the demand is there, but the audience enthusiasm for the product is no longer there because they know they can't buy them when they want. The video suffers as a result. So I have, and I could have published today, my RTX 3070 Gigabyte Gaming OC review. So I sent a 3080 Gaming OC and a 3070, and they're both excellent cards. I'll say that, and I can say that now because the NDA for reviewing AIB cards, AIC cards, has lifted for the 3070. But it's also, it's futile in a way because you're going to watch those videos and you're going to be like, oh, these cards look great. And these videos just make me want them even more, but I still can't buy them. So what I'm going to do, and again, I said this on Twitter, is I'm going to postpone the release of that particular video. Any other AIB were sent. Gigabyte was the only company, by the way, that sent us anything. I reached out to EVGA directly, and they straight up told us we don't have enough supply. Even Asus we've worked with quite a bit in the past, and Asus was just like, yeah, we're going to try, but good, you're going to need some luck because we don't even know how many we're going to have available at the end of this week. So I think actually the 3070 is going to be worse off than the 30. I think people are going to end up kind of defaulting to buying the 3080 instead, just because 3070 stock is going to be so scarce for the remainder of the year, possibly into 2021, which would really suck because that card is insane for the price. But people know this, right? They know how powerful this card is, and they are willing to wait until the card is in stock to buy it. And that's what I think is going to keep the supply so low, is because anytime a batch of cards is pushed out on a site like Newegg, it's going to sell out in seconds. We're already seeing that with the 3080. But you can imagine a lot of that enthusiasm shifting to the more attainable card. Quote unquote attainable, just from a price perspective, not necessarily a supply perspective. So that's my prediction there. I kind of hope I'm wrong because, again, I think the 3070 it's the more palatable card for a lot of people. It makes sense for more builds out there for more people's budgets. But I think because that is true, it will be in higher demand and will likely be out of stock for a good while. So crossing the fingers. I really think that Nvidia has misstepped here. Not only should they have anticipated the just insane demand surge, but they also should have anticipated the supply shortage on behalf of Samsung, the 8nm fab that they're working with now. I think that this is part of a larger issue with growing pains for a company that is not used to supplying a massive manufacturer like Nvidia. It has a massive fan base, a growing fan base at that. Samsung's going to struggle, and Nvidia, I'm sure, is putting the pressure on them to keep up with that demand. But clearly nothing is working right now. And you could argue that they could have pushed back the launch, sure, but pushing back the launch in light of what AMD's released, I mean, that's not in their best interest. Let's be honest. Nvidia wants to steal the hype from AMD, and AMD wants to do the same to Nvidia. These are both companies interested in, maximizing shareholder value, and you do that by selling products. You do that by gaining market share. So, why wouldn't you release a card? Even if you only had 25% of the starting inventory that you would have liked to have had, you're not going to pass up the chance of releasing a card to shove into the face of the competitor and say, ha ha, more people are talking about us than they're talking about you. Now that AMD's hyped up their RX 6800 and 6900 XTs, though, I'm not sure if this is playing into the hands of Nvidia the way they had imagined. I think that Nvidia was forced to lower the price of the FE RTX 30 series cards at launch because they probably knew something about these AMD cards and knew how competitive they would be, both from a performance and price perspective. But I think that if AMD can at least somewhat deliver on the delivery aspect of these cards, if they have more in supply than Nvidia and the demand is relatively similar, I think they have a big chance of stealing quite a bit of market share from the higher end gaming community. For the past 4 or 5 years, it's been Nvidia at the top because Nvidia was the only manufacturer of high-end graphics cards. You wanted an RTX 2080 Ti from Team Green, but you really had no counterpart from Team Red. So what are you going to do? Well, you're just going to buy from Team Green. That's all you really got. Same with the RTX 2080, 2080 Super, even the 2070 Super to an extent, the 5700 XT somewhat competed with that. But then you had a plethora of driver issues out of the gate on AMD's side that just plagued the brand, and it pushed people in Nvidia's direction for maybe $50 to $100 extra. It was just worth paying that extra money for, frankly, more stable drivers. GeForce Experience, which I think is okay. I hate that you have to sign in now to GeForce Experience, but I'm a big fan of Shadowplay, RTX Voice, or whatever they call that. That's an incredible feature. Nvidia is doing a lot on the software side to distinguish their cards from the competition, and I think people see that, and they've seen that for quite some time. So, the fact that AMD has something now that's kind of on a level playing field with NVIDIA's best, that could change things. I'm hoping that it does, at least to an extent, but I also hope that NVIDIA can respond, because if they can't, then we what's the point? You're trading one corporate domination for another in the high-end graphics space. It's like, you're not solving anything there. So I'm curious what you guys think in the comments below. Be sure to let me know what your buying experience was like, if you were able to even buy a 3070 at all, where you bought it from, and the kinds of measures you put in place to obtain said card. If you want to join our public Discord, you can do that down below. That is where you can submit links to crazy ads. So if you find even a crazy listing on eBay for an RTX 3070, maybe a scalper's asking insane dollars for a 3070 or 3080, you can link that in the Discord under the, I'm going to look it up what it's called here. I think it is called, what is it? Crazy PC Ads. That's the name of the text channel. So you click on Crazy PC Ads, link that, and I would appreciate any and all feedback there. Disappointed that, what's the point of complaining about it? I think it's more beneficial to us as a species to talk about why things happen the way they do versus just sulking. I also realized that because of the sun, I mean, it's so early, like the sun is like peeking through the shades in a weird way. So it's giving me like this weird light stripe. That's strange. Anyway, thanks for watching this far into the video. I appreciate you guys, and we'll keep you updated on RTX 3070, 3080 news, and also the upcoming AMD launches as well, which look very enticing. My name is Greg. Thanks for chatting with me.